I am going to be so for real and honest and upfront with you all here today because I've hired a housekeeper, and it's not because we're like super YouTube successful and now we're just rolling in the dough and therefore, I'm a homemaker who just sits around and eat bonbons. That's not quite what's going on, but I am going to tell you why we've hired a housekeeper, what exactly we've done to get to this point, and why I think this topic of conversation could be really important for you to hear today. Hey there, friend. I'm Heidi with Heavenly Minded Home, and welcome to today's video. Now, it is truly my heart's desire here to encourage and equip other Christian women as we strive to live for the Lord each and every day, investing in eternity all along the way. And it is our goal this year to encourage and equip 100,000 women around the world. And so if you would like to come and join us, join the other 57,000 of us that are saying, yes, let's dig in, let's do that, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and you can click on the little bell notifications to get those updates as they come out. Again, it's something free, encouragement, equipment as we all live heavenly minded each and every day, investing in eternity. And so today's topic, I'm actually quite excited about. My husband and son were a little concerned that this would be too controversial, but then I talked about it with my BFF who does my podcast with me, and we said, no, I think us ladies need to hear this because we've hired a housekeeper. And I know that might seem kind of crazy considering I put together and sell a complete course on how you can simplify the Flylady system to get your home under control, to keep everything clean and tidy and organized and minimized and do all of that. And if you're interested, because you feel like you are drowning in your house or you don't even know where to start, I'll link it down below if that's something that can be a blessing to you. But we've hired a housekeeper, and I want to share with you the reasons why I went ahead and did it. And maybe these are questions that you can ask yourself. And then if you're curious and you're wanting to maybe check this out and look around, I'll give you guys just a quick bullet point of exactly what I did to get to the point of finding the person that we found and just the blessing that has been. Now, I want to kind of caveat this here real quick before we sit down and we chat. I always thought that only super rich people have housekeepers, right? I have a friend who's a multimillionaire, lives in a beautiful, beautiful multi-million-dollar home on the coast of California. And she's got 2 people full-time that do everything, right? Everything, they just keep everything perfect. That's their job. So I always assumed that when I heard housekeeper, or maid, or, whatever term you want to use, I thought of that, that was the picture. Well, I will say for us that I'm getting ready to come up on a surgery, and it's going to be a really long recovery process. I am not going to be able to get up and move around for up to 3 months. And so that kind of mental load and weight of how are we going to do all the things? Of course, my husband and my kids were like, no worries, we'll take care of everything. We'll do it all. But everything's going to be so off balance with me being down and everything that's going on. The last thing I need is to just keep adding more stress and chaos to the plates of everyone in my home. And I said, you know what? Let me just look into this. Let me see, how much does this cost? We would not have a big budget, but maybe we could get someone to help us out a little bit. And so we're going to talk more about that here in a second. But I think it's really important to look at this and go, this doesn't mean that I'm just going to sit around and eat bonbons every day and do nothing. Our kids still have chores. We still have jobs and things that we absolutely do to take care of our home, as I believe that is absolutely our responsibility. No, YouTube has not made me uber rich and now we're just all of a sudden going to be doing all of the things. That hasn't happened, y'all. But I think that a lot of times we as women, we're drowning. We're struggling. And there's this almost unwritten code, I think especially within the Christian culture of things, that we don't ask for help, that we don't say, hey, I'm struggling. I can't keep up. I can't do it all. I need some assistance. I need some backup. I think even when we look at the Proverbs 31 woman, right? The woman that we look at and we go, oh, I can never be as awesome as she is. What is she doing? She's staying on top of her staff. She's not saying that she does every single chore ever for anyone in everything that she does, but she makes sure that her home is in order. That the people that are helping her, the people that have tasks, right? It's a different time, then people live differently, but it's still interesting to see that being in charge of that and taking care of that is part of her role and her duty as this virtuous woman. Now, yes, we have things like washing machines and dishwashers, and I have a robotic vacuum. I mean, we have plenty of servants that work for us. Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes. But it doesn't mean, I don't think, that even as Christian women, as homemakers, that we can't get some assistance if we need it. So let me just say it again. It is okay to ask for help. It absolutely is. And you can give yourself grace in this. Like for us here in our situation, I'm going to be having surgery on my foot and I'll be fine, but it's a very long recovery process. I'm not going to be able to do all of the tasks that I normally do. Now, sure, could my husband and children pick up that slack? Of course they could. But when we're already going to be dealing with a big shift for literally a season of our lives, I don't want to add more onto the already adjusted and impacted plates of my family. I know for me that keeping my home running well is really important. Like to me, yes, it helps. Physically, I'm super ADHD, and so everything being messy all over the place, it just makes me crazy, and so like it's really helpful. But even that just mental load of thinking of all the things that need to be done, I can't get out of bed for a week, for the first thing. And then even then I can only move around in a limited way. So the thought already of grocery shopping and our farm and the animals and homeschool and ministry and all the things that we do, I've got this like mental load that's going crazy right now. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I need some assistance. And I think that, again, especially in this kind of like biblical womanhood area, this arena, we see these women that never ask for help, right? We see these women who have, 5, 10 plus kids, and their homes are perfect, and every loaf of bread is made from scratch, and everything is meticulously cleaned and organized, and that's wonderful. If that works for you, praise God. If you can do it and you don't need the help in this season, that's wonderful, right? I will say that for me, that's usually where I am, maybe that not everything's made from scratch and not everything's meticulously cleaned, right? But I'm usually like I got it, I'm good. So I understand that, I get that. But if you've come into a season or a situation or something going on, even if it's temporary, maybe it's gonna last longer, and you just need help, it's okay to say, I need help. I need something. And I think that somebody needs to sit up and just say, guess what, y'all? It's okay. I've asked for help. If you need help, you can ask for it too. And we can give ourselves grace first and foremost in that, because there's nothing wrong with needing a little extra help. Now, I want to follow that up by saying that it's okay to not be able to do it all. Like, these things go hand in hand. I know they're very similar, but I think it's a little different. That acceptance of self to say, I can't do it all. I can't be Superwoman. I think most often what we see out there, and I know I've been accused of this a million times over. Y'all, it's why I share my Flylady system, because that's how I get it all done. If ever you've been curious, I'll link it down below. I can't do it all, because none of us can. And I know, especially in a world that is so driven by social media, right? Even here, I love sharing. I share with you all here on YouTube every single day, and we've been sharing now for 6 years. I've shared a lot of my life with y'all. You can see a lot of it, but still, even no matter how raw, transparent, and open that I aim to be, you're only seeing a glimpse into my day, a glimpse into my life, my home, whatever it may be. It doesn't show everything because it can't. And so sometimes that impression comes off of, well, I did it all. I'm just on top of it. And sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes I feel like, man, I am doing great. I'm checking off my boxes. I'm getting my things done. My house is clean. Homeschool's going well. My husband and I are great, right? Sometimes we're in a great routine and it's feeling wonderful. But sometimes I can't do it all. And that's okay. Again, I know that there's many women we see, especially in this homemaker area, that they look like they are just perfect, right? They've got tons of kids. They've got a big, beautiful home. They've got a farm. They've got, whatever it is that they have, and just everything looks so wonderful. But the truth is that none of us have these perfect lives. None of us do. We all have our struggles. We all have our issues. And if you've come to a point, be it out of frustration, despair, sickness, injury, pregnancy, whatever it might be, and you've hit this point where you just go, I can't do it. I cannot do everything. I know that's part here, saying that goal of we want to encourage and equip 100,000 others, before the next year. Part of that is saying it's okay as a homemaker, as a wife, as a mom, as a grandma, as a sister, as a friend, to say I need help and I can't do it all. And that's part of that encouragement, to be here and say, here's some practical things we can do, some things we can try, and some encouragement along the way, because I think it makes a big difference. Now, before I share just real quick about exactly how I went about this process, because I think it can be a little overwhelming to be like, okay, this sounds great. Yes, I need help. Yes, I can't do it all. How does one do this? How much does it cost? What exactly do you do? Hold, please. Something that kind of really surprised me in this was understanding that by me admitting I can't do it all, I need help, that we've got a lot coming up on our family's plate, and I think we need to pull someone from the outside in, which is a really big deal for our family. Understanding that you don't just have to be a multimillionaire to have a little help around the house, I promise. Understanding it and finding out here that by my self-acceptance of this and saying, okay, Lord, I hear you. I think this is important. I nod over this for months. To see this, my going and asking for help, to see it be a blessing to someone else was really important. Getting to chat with her and to talk with her and get to know her and about her family and everything, and to see that although we don't have much to give, it's still a little bit, and every little bit helps. And so having another person that, yes, you're bringing in, and it might seem kind of extravagant, or whatever, because of, I think, the view we have of it, but finding out what a blessing it is to someone else. So it's a blessing to me because I'm getting the help I so desperately need. It's a blessing to my family because now I'm not like super stressed out over this. It was able to fit financially within our budget. Again, it's not as much as, I would love for it to be, but it worked. And it's a blessing to another family. Praise God, that's amazing. And so how did I do it? How did I hire a housekeeper, right? What exactly are we doing? Here's what I did. It might be a little different than some, but so far it's working out well for us. So this is how our family went about, for the first time ever, hiring outside help, hiring someone to come and help us around here. So like I said, this really was called on because I've got an upcoming surgery. I'm not going to be able to be getting up and around. So especially if you're expecting a new baby, you're dealing with a sickness, you're dealing with just a busy season of life, you need some help, right? This is what we did to kind of figure this out. Having never done this, we don't have a huge budget. We really were unsure. Even our kids were a little like, oh, this is going to be weird. Like someone coming into our house, right? Like this is kind of strange. And so first and foremost, we prayerfully discussed as a family what it was that we were looking for, why, what we needed, right? We really had a deep conversation about this, and then really did discern through our parameters of this. I was very upfront and honest with everyone, right? As discussing it as a family, meeting with someone, saying, hey, I believe that we are absolutely responsible to pick up after ourselves, right? Like my children still have chores, we still have things that we're going to do, but I really was upfront and honest in saying, we need help. And really it's like the deep cleaning, like real time consuming things that, those things that there's way mom does it. And the way you do it and the way anyone else does it, you're kind of like, oh, I need that like nitty gritty really in there, stuff getting done. And so what we ended up doing is, after discussing it as a family and just, I'm telling you, genuinely, prayerfully discerning into this, instead of going through, I kind of started looking around at, you see those ads on Facebook for different cleaning companies and care.com and things like that. I don't know. I felt like I wanted to know someone, and I wanted to find someone that would be a good fit for our family and someone that could potentially, be able to come and do this for us for the next 3 months. So I needed someone kind of for the long haul here. And I didn't really like the idea of having to pay a subscription service to something and having to go between a bunch of different people and kind of having that middleman. I wanted to really get to know whoever this was going to be, and for my husband to get to know and talk to, and for us to really just see how it fit together. And so what I did is we have a local Facebook group of just people in the area that you can, share stuff or whatever. I think most towns have one. And so I simply put out a post and said, hey, I'm looking for this. I started noticing from a lot of kind of looking around on care.com that people in our area were only charging like $15 or $20 an hour. What I was seeing is like quite the norm, which really, really surprised me. So I'm like, you're telling me for $40 a week, somebody could come over and like tackle stuff for a couple hours. To me, I thought that was amazing. Like, I will happily forego stuff to come up with $40, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times a week, whatever you could fit into your budget. So I was really amazed at how inexpensive it was, at least in our area, as far as people's kind of asking rates. And so I put this post out on our local group. I received so many responses like that. I mean, my inbox, I still haven't gotten through them all. It just exploded. I could not believe how many responses we got. And so what I started to do then was to really just start sifting through them and seeing if any stood out to me. Again, for us, this was a very prayerful thing to go and do. We needed a specific fit, and I trusted the Lord to provide that. I had one response in particular that she shared so much, and she does this so she can stay at home with her kids, and her husband, he got laid off and he's getting a new job, and they're going through all this stuff and whatever. And I don't know, it just stood out to me as contact this person. And so I did. And I'm glad that I went into this in a very prayerful, intentional, process. And so it was so wonderful we invited this person over to the house, and we ended up spending hours together, the whole family, with her, kind of showing her around the house, explaining to her situation, showing her the things that are important to me to have done, really spending time, my husband and I, chatting with her, getting to know her, to know about her family and all of that. It really was such a blessing. And then once we kind of got to know one another and we saw that, we said, okay, here's our budget that we can do. This is what we're looking for. This is the timing we'd like it as such. Does this work for you? And making sure that we found something that for us would be sustainable, right? We can afford this. Our budget is not large, but we have set aside $200 a month to be able to do this. Because again, for us, with the things that we are cutting out for the next few months, with me being down after surgery, the jobs that we need done, the help that we need around here to keep everything going, for us, we felt that that was exactly where we could be. And so we asked again, I know it's not huge, I know it's not a ton, but could we work something out here? Could we come up with an agreement based off of this and how much, you would need, that we can really come together and create a situation that's going to benefit us and our family, but you and yours as well. And so we did all of that. And then I simply just, I kind of explained to her, there's certain areas to me that are really important that I really would like to have done. And then there's kind of just general things that while I am stuck in this bed, I would really appreciate to still have completed. And so I just put together a Google spreadsheet of different tasks for each different room of the house, things that I would like to have done, the frequency of such, and maybe any special note. I also left her a line there. So if there's a specific something that we need to have to do that, or some issue or something like that, we had a spot there to keep that communication. And I really like that because then everything is clearly laid out. I've even thought, maybe who knows, one day we could just use my Flylady system here, right? And just be like, hey, let's do this. So it was really nice to just be able to kind of list out those tasks needed. And then we discussed through the items that she would be using. Would she be bringing her own cleaning supplies? Would she use stuff that I have here? I've shared with her, I've got my amazing steamer. I've got my vacuum mop. I've got, I have lots of cleaning things because I actually really enjoy cleaning. So I have lots of things that I shared with her. Here's my kind of inventory of what I have. You're welcome to use it. And kind of came up with our agreed upon terms there. And then honestly, when the first cleaning day comes, which I think was really crazy for our family, this just seems so different, and the kids are like, oh, is she coming in my room? What is she doing? What are we doing? Really, it was just staying out of the way, getting her in, picking, hey, first job here, can we please make sure we hit off these ones next week, or whatever, you can go and do these ones. Kind of having that where we were going to start. She was so precious and so sweet, doing the things that she did, and then having me come in just to make sure that it was what I wanted and that we were good to go, and being able to work through and get things done. It's like I can go into surgery with this massive weight off of my chest because we have a system. I've asked for help and we've received wonderful, wonderful help. So now as I go through this kind of extended recovery process, this extra weight doesn't have to be hanging around. Am I thankful that we were able to find this money in the budget so we could do this? Praise God, yes, because I've had plenty of situations where we didn't have that. And I understand that that's not always the case, but I will say that I was quite surprised. I mean, for most places, $20 an hour, and yeah, it might only be for a couple of hours, once a week, maybe twice a month, maybe once a month, but being able to pull aside, $50, $100, $200 to put towards something like this, for us in this season that we're going into, it is money well spent, because the workload it takes off of us as we go through this is going to be very impactful. So hate to break it to you, no, we haven't become like YouTube millionaires. We're not like this super fancy anything, but I think that's the most encouraging part of all of this, is that normal, regular people like us that don't even make that much money can find help when we need it. And it's okay to need help and to not be able to do it all. And maybe it can even be a blessing to someone else if you go to prayer, you discuss this, and you do reach out and say, hey, would anybody be willing to help? I only have this much, what can we do? Come up with something that works well. And for us, we are just so unbelievably thankful for this. And I know, again, this is kind of a weird topic because usually I'm like, hey guys, come clean with me. Hey, look at how I'm doing this. I love Flylady. I talk about it all the time and kind of my simple approach to it. I love watching cleaning videos on here, all of that's great, but sometimes you just can't do it all. Sometimes you need a little help. Sometimes it's worth it to say, hey, how much to get someone's help for a couple hours, even, a couple times a month or something, to say, hey, can you just scrub the bathrooms? Can I get some help with that? And it's money well spent. And so I think it's important to say this, to say as women, I'm not Superwoman. I can't do everything. I love being a homemaker. I love it so much. I love tending to my home. I love making it cozy for my family. I love cooking. I love cleaning. I love all of those things. But just because I love it and I appreciate my job as a homemaker doesn't mean that I'm just this superwoman who can do it all the time and never gets weighed down, never gets backed up, never gets, put on bed rest for 3 months. So it happens, and that is absolutely okay. And so I just really wanted to share this with you guys today, and I pray that it can be an encouragement to you. Maybe you're in a season of life where you're like, man, I need to look this up, right? Could I get some help around here? What exactly could we do? Maybe it's not something you necessarily need right now, but who knows? One day in the future, it might pop up. I never thought we'd be here, and well, here we are today. So you guys will have to let me know down in the comments below. Have you ever gone through this process? I feel like it's also one of those things that nobody talks about. I even felt kind of weird being like, I'd be talking to friends, hey, what are you up to today? Well, I'm actually interviewing a housekeeper, right? It just seems like, we're not fancy people. It's not this massive luxury or something. It really is a necessity for us right now. And, such a huge help. So you'll have to let me know down in the comments. Have you ever been in this this situation before? Is this something that you've maybe been dealing with? I'd love to hear how you all are doing as well. Again, friends, we've made it our goal here in this next year to encourage and equip 100,000 sisters in Christ all around the world. And so if you want to come join the 57,000 some odd of us in this, be sure to hit subscribe before you head out. If you guys leave a thumbs up, you hit the like button, it really does help so much so that we can spread the word and lift up other sisters all around the world as we all are striving to live for the Lord and invest in eternity. So I pray this was a blessing and encouragement to you today. Cannot wait to see what you all leave down below, so I'll come and pop by and check out those. Otherwise, let me leave you a little something else that I think you might enjoy. Bye, friends.